Wow. What a start we're cooking here. So my cousin shows up and Spoon decides to resub but doesn't do it on camera. Does that mean we have a James resub coming soon? Or did that already happen this month?
That already happened.
It already happened this month.
Yeah.
All right. So
James and Glimo are like a week ahead of me.
Yeah. Welcome to King Arthur Pendragon 5.2, the Great Pendragon Campaign, episode 32. We nearly didn't have this show. And if I was to cook hard, we would not have this show because we would just be talking about video games, like how my Baldur's Gate 3 character nearly looks exactly the same as Spoon's Baldur's Gate 3 character, and we have the same builds, apparently. And I hear that James has also made the same build, but doesn't look like us. So, you know, we look the same. You offer us ice cream, both of us say yes. How in the hell? And we caught Glimo sneaking in a little Crusader Kings 3, so he might catch some of the references. Let's just hope that Sir Kyned doesn't slip in any bathtubs anytime soon.
I reloaded Hard Space Shipbreaker last night.
I saw that on Discord, but I didn't want to say anything.
Yeah.
But we're going to sneak past talking about all those games and instead mention that tomorrow night will be the next episode of Battletech Gentlemen of the List, a show that has been off the air so long I forgot its name. I genuinely forgot its name. Previously on this show, we had an epic quiz time that people liked, so I might do more quiz stuff in the future, more puzzle challenges, not for the characters, but for the players specifically. I don't want to overload it and do it on all of my shows all the time now that I know that the audience likes it, but every once in a while I think would be okay. It does take a really long time to make puzzles for James, though. Can't be too easy.
I think what you mean is, it takes a really long time to make puzzles that are difficult for James.
I mean, if it's not a puzzle if you can solve it by just looking at it, you know what I mean? You don't buy a brain teaser game on the Switch and you're just like bing bam boom bing bing. Okay, I'm done. You know, that was a real puzzler right there. If it's a puzzle, it has to puzzle you at first. And maybe forever. So
what you do is just give me one that's really tough and I had to brute force, and that'll annoy me. I had to brute force it.
No, I fucking hate it when you brute force shit in escape room games. James is like, all right, it's a 4-digit code and we have 2 of the numbers, so let me brute force it real quick. I'm sitting here on my knees in the corner going, no!
Often when you get it,
it's only 100 possible combinations. Let me just go through them one by one.
Often when you get it, though, you can work out why it was that. But that's why I had the one recently where I couldn't work out any way that could have come from, and I was so annoyed by it. Anyway.
Year 496 is coming to an end. However, there are still some short things to be done first. Sir Gwgan, I'm sending you a message on Discord. Sir Kendric, when you return home, things are a little different for you. You have a letter waiting for you from Baron Will asking you to see him at Vagon Castle about an opportunity that could enrich both of you and end the feud between your houses, end the strife that has beset the nobility, and bring honor and peace between your warring factions. Now, of course, this is really hamming it up and overplaying it, and it doesn't look like Baron Will penned this letter personally. You know what I mean? Maybe he got a little Bard of Avon on his shoulder, his secretary interpreting his words. This certainly doesn't read like Will wrote it himself, for sure. But the sentiment is there. You also find that your wife has apparently pilloried a number of her servants. She has stuck them in a public stockade and encouraged locals to mock them. These are many of the members of Lady Yennefer's group. So while you were gone, your wife did a little investigating herself and found out about the plot to abduct Yennefer, bring her up here, and then enrich themselves at her expense because she doesn't speak the local language.
Okay. So, okay. I mean, so these people were basically taking advantage of Lady Yennefer. Is that the idea
Yes.
here? Okay. Yeah, they deserve them.
Yes, she has released them with a knight escort to into Wessex.
Okay.
So she's basically taken these Spanish serfs and booted them out of the county after they spent 3 days in a pillory.
I take it that didn't include Lady Yennefer's like guardian.
You mean Stephen Sondheim? No, that's not his name. That is a name.
Samuel the Scrivener.
Samuel the Scrivener. So it did not include him because he was not in on it, and I believe he tried to give you a little heads up that like some weird stuff is happening. Samuel has presented you with an official certificate that is recognized by several members of the College of Legates that is naming you to be a heir of Lucius II of Britain. So you may now legally claim to have a very thin blood of kings running in your line.
Amazing. Okay.
With that,
Fantastic.
his business with you is concluded in all ways, as he has been non-instrumental and truly ancillary to helping Lady Yennefer, and he has completed his work with you. So he is back to being a free agent.
Cool. Samuel, if you're ever in need of a warm bed and a hot meal, you're always welcome at Pitton.
Well, I must say, I really should move on. I can't take up too much of your hospitality. I'm sure someone out there needs my services.
I'm sure they do.
You could see that he's like trying to force himself out of your house, or he may truly never leave.
Yeah.
So has Lady Yennefer still got a translator then?
No, she is truly alone now.
Okay.
I'll say, other than I think your spy master.
The spy master is no longer embedded in your household.
Yeah, correct.
James knows why, but your wife does not.
Okay. Do we want to do the scene where I go to Vagon Castle and talk to Huel before anything else?
Let's do it.
Right. Yeah, I will travel to Vagon Castle to speak to Baron Huel.
Speak to Baron Huel in the chambers of his power. He's given a series of rooms that we've seen before, the map room that Kyned has been to. There's little sense to be made here of what exactly is happening, but it would appear that the Countess has officially endorsed his expansion of the northern border by capturing border manors that are empty or vulnerable. And from what you can maybe tell with no roll needed right now, they're in the exact spot that you were told that a castle would be yours. There is a lot of lines pointing towards that location now. The Baron looks threadbare. Now, you've seen him stressed and upset. You've seen him drunk. But right now, he looks like he's wearing the same clothes you saw him in last year, which is a real faux pas sort of deal. You know, his liege lord, the Countess, at the very least, should be upgrading his threads every once in a while, but at a baronial level, this is something he should be doing himself. But he looks, I would say, overworked, but I mean that in the normal sense, not overworked as he's been, where he's literally holding the entire county together logistically, while everyone around him sabotages him in some way or the other. He's overworked in like 50-hour week sort of overwork for a person whose life has never actually required regular working hours or doing things. He is overworked. And he gestures to you to sit across from him, and he says, "So Kendric, I hope that my letter was not too theatrical for you."
It was just the right notes.
Good, excellent. There has been issues between you and I know that we are not united politically in these matters. I have spoken with the Countess about raising a new castle at a vulnerable point on our line. Ambrosius's dike is a good fortification, but useless to us so long as we do not garrison it. And the headwaters of the River Avon, the Abbey, many pieces of critical infrastructure that in old times, before this period of darkness, were located so deep inside the country as to be invulnerable to Pictish raiders, Irish, Saxons, now lay vulnerable to scheming neighbors, Republicans, and all sorts of ne'er-do-wells who speak about leaving the serf system. Truly ridiculous. I propose that we raise a castle there, and I was hoping that you would accept it through me. This castle is little more than... The ground has yet to even be flattened and broken. It could be 10 years before the walls are truly raised to the point where it is a castle, even a manor, and an attendant small village of craftsmen need to be constructed before any sort of true castle is there. But on paper, you would offer fealty to me, and you would offer liegehood to the Countess. And that way, all things would find a rightful place, and I could raise you to becoming a banneret knight. If, Christ forbid, I were to ever turn against the Countess, it would not be expected of you to serve me in such times of worry and war. Your liege lord would be the Countess, and you would stand against me. You understand the political implication. Offering me your fealty for this castle is merely on paper. I would expect little out of it, less than I do of any of my true knights. Something to show the county that we are on the same page. And to give you an opportunity that I've been told you are well deserving of. He's drumming his fingers on the table, and you see a bead of sweat start to slowly roll down his temple.
Before I answer him, did I ever get a letter back from Sir Thebert of Marlborough about how things were going?
Things are going extremely poorly over there. You were asking him about the invasion in Cornwall?
And just kind of what was going on in his lands, because like he's kind of in that section of the
sure.
county for
As
us.
you've returned here, Thebert of Marlborough's, like, hey, great to hear from you. We should play cards again sometime. You see this play? I think it's about you. Let me describe it to you. He describes a very familiar sounding play to you. He talks about his wife and his new children that have just been born and how well they're doing. And he also mentions that they are fully gearing up for the Cornwall invasion, that it's their primary concern. And also that there's some weird stuff going on in the woods. Like tons of people are poaching or chopping down trees everywhere. Like truly order has completely collapsed along the West Coast.
Okay. And so also above the table, what this deal is basically I'm swearing fealty to Baron Hewell, but
because
the Countess
it's
is still my
his
liege
castle
lord.
and he's handing it to you as a knight.
Okay.
But he's getting the castle from the Countess.
Right. So, but But basically, like, so I hold the castle in, like, this is some real feudal shit you're getting into here, right? Because
you're telling me that this is a feudal game set in the King Arthur Pendragon era?
Well,
That's crazy, dude.
I love it too, because it's like, so I have lands that are given to me from the Countess, and then also have lands that are given me from a vassal of the Countess. So I'm a vassal of, but I'm also, it's really fun.
I love these reports where it was like, and this guy was ordered to raise troops against himself by 2 different kings.
Yeah. Your offer is generous, Baron Huel. And I believe that such a alliance would go a long way to show the county that 2 of its strongest knights are making amends.
He stands up.
Accept your offer.
He offers you the
as well.
Predator man shake. Alliance is too strong a word. Accord is all this merely is.
Very well.
The 2 of us need no alliance, for we are already brothers in arms in this county. I was hoping that we might do a small ceremony at the winter feast, and let it be known that you shall be raised to a banneret knight. It would behoove you to have a banner ready.
Very well.
Banneret. Know that I will never call upon your services, not because I don't like you, but because I want to make it clear that you are truly independent from me. This is entirely on paper through the Countess.
I appreciate that.
I appreciate peace in the land.
And I shall strive to do my best to provide that.
Now that this scene is concluding, I want to make it clear, because someone messaged me. When I say the serfs have Republican tendencies, I don't mean Republican as in the American political party. I mean, they want to form republics where peasants vote people in. I want to be really clear on that. The peasants want to form small villages and have mayors and shit. That's what Republican is. No, don't Brexit me, James. God. Oh, Canada. And does anyone else have any scenes before we get to the Winter Feast? Winterfest.
I think, knowing what I know now, I'll recall my spy when she can freely leave, and also like send a letter to Kendric to say, you know, if we should meet up at some point. Can't wait for the feast. No urgent, you know.
I think one of the things that I would like to do is I would like to get a translator for Lady Yennefer, since I think no one in my household speaks Spanish.
That will truly cost you a full pound every year.
Well, and then I would also, in that case, because that's what it costs to tutor, if I could start taking language.
The other option is to get her a tutor, so to tutor her in English.
Yeah. I think well, that's fair. Maybe I'll do both.
Did I say the wrong year? Did I say it was 496 at the beginning of this instead of 497? So. Okay, yeah. Because we already did the obvious thing. All right.
Yeah.
If no one has anything else, we're gonna go ahead and do that Christmas court.
Excellent.
There are no new knights in the land. No new knights. Oof, I had to be real careful saying that one. No one was raised this year. Sir Sees, Gwent, and Hayden are in attendance, as is Dame Erwin. Plenty of people have come. Samuel the Scrivener is not here, and the Countess is holding court. I do want to say that we are going to flash back to this feast later for a solo scenario. I don't know whether I want to run this now or just have it be part of a solo scenario for the end of the year glory. I think we're going to flash back to it. So just know there's a scene that we will later see. It's happening behind the scenes here. Kicking off this very meager feast is a small ceremony in which Sir Kendric recognizes Baron Will as the Baron and as his new lord. That Kendric is given what the peasants are calling the paper castle.
That's why I like it.
And Kendric is being raised to a banneret knight. So now we have a stronger line of defense. People are now talking about the 3 strongest knights: Sir Alan the Banneret, Sir Kendric the Banneret, and Baron Will are like the trio, the Triforce, the 3 heroes. They're really trying to make a name stick, even though it's like a super old retiree, a young guy who's getting slandered constantly, and like a really overworked dude who's like a river baron's lord who originally just made a shit ton of money like on tariffs and taxes, and now has truly become like a dude who is just like capturing tons of empty manors and shit. It is quiet, but it starts to come out that Will is seeing like a dozen women. Like all the manors that he's capturing, he's basically having bastard sons with all the ladies whose husbands have died to ensure that they stay within his line. This is not only such a huge shock, it is revealed by a visitor who shows up without a sword, which is very normal. Not wearing a sword is very normal. But they are wearing a hood, and when he throws off his hood and gives the proclamation that Baron Will has had over a dozen bastards, you see that it is Sir Leo, a just knight who has not been seen in almost 2 years, who the Countess wanted to make sheriff, but when she offered it, he basically was like, I need to meditate on this, and then disappeared. And he shows up now with this news as like an Odin-like traveler out of nowhere, bringing grave news, throwing his hood down. There's like shocks everywhere. Some of the shock is like, wow, I can't believe this guy has that much vitality and time on his hands. And some are like, oh my goodness, what a Christian upset. This is blasphemous. All this bastardry. You've gone down in my opinion, old boy.
Did he crit fail a passion roll at some point in the past?
You mean did Leo crit fail a passion roll?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah, that's right.
yes,
That's right.
he
That's
had
right.
madness. Yeah, he's been meditating for 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's literally like the first 10 minutes of the feast is like Kendric shaking hands with the Baron, and then as they go to be seated and Kendric's banner is like held, you know, we've got the Countess's banner above her seat, and then we've got like Alan and the Barons, and then the 4th banner is revealed, so it's like one big banner and then like 3 smaller banners beneath it. As that unveiling is done, Sir Leo reveals himself as the most dramatic fucking bitch in the world. Just swoosh, hair goes back. There's a streak of gray through it. He drops his accusation. There's silence and then uproar in that sort of high school cafeteria. I'm now realizing that not everyone is going to get that reference, but
There's a crack of thunder, or a crack of lightning, and a roll of thunder.
Yep, that winter lightning, you know?
Yep. Yeah.
That well-known British winter lightning. So, my question to all of you is there anyone you'd like to meet, anyone you'd like to talk to?
Kendric.
Yes, I will meet with Sir Gwgan.
I'm actually curious where you're meeting. So there is, of course, the feast, but it's actually kind of poorly attended. Like, people aren't sitting down to feast right now. It looks like there's some expectation that there will be more dishes brought out by the people attending. They're like, oh, this must just be like the apps. And based on looking at the servants, this is not just the apps.
This is not
like,
just the apps, yeah.
This is it. Like, these tables are not going to be overflowing this year. You know, like, there's a couple birds, and like there's a big ham that's fresh, and you know, that's some grain dishes, a lot of butter and some salt, and yeah, truly it's a rough one.
What options exist for a private conversation?
I mean, there's plenty of rooms in this castle, of course, and if you want to like grab an alcove or something, or go outside and like walk, go to the training hall, go to the church.
Is there an office for the seneschal?
There is, but it's your aunt who's actually the seneschal. But however, you go there and she's obviously not there because she's on the floor.
Okay, all right.
Sir Gwgan.
Kendric, I understand it's been quite an interesting period at your house with Lady Yennefer.
Yes, she had some trouble with some of her servants, I think. My wife had them pilloried and sent to Wessex.
My spy master got sort of tied up in it, but she had to withdraw for her own safety and with consultation with your wife as well.
I see.
So, go ahead, sorry.
I was just going to ask you what was happening.
Well, she spent some time in Vagon while waiting to return, and all of the low speak there, especially among the common folk, is that Huel has gotten himself substantially in debt to moneylenders both here in Britain and abroad.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought we might, in further dealings, consider what the implications of that could potentially be. I mean, obviously, usury is not a knightly virtue, but it's not to say that plenty of knights have borrowed or lent money before. However, I'm trying to understand how this knowledge informs his current activities. So, for example, he could be doing a land grab to establish collateral for further loans.
Mm-hmm.
He could be looking to use the land to repay loans. And of course, land is an interesting one because he can claim a castle and land somewhere in the middle of Britain, and he can attempt to use that to pay off a moneylender in France. How they actually gain benefit from that land is questionable. He could potentially just abandon the castle, and they have to come and send people that go and claim it. And if it's claimed by someone else first, say someone else loyal to Huel, he effectively pays a loan and steals from his own creditor. He could be looking to raise funds by working the land to repay his debts. I just thought it's worth the conversation. You're obviously a bit closer to Huel than the rest of us. I don't know what your thoughts are.
It is an interesting predicament I think he finds himself in, that he has spread himself very thin. But
Problem I see is if he becomes delinquent in his financial affairs and his creditors seek to foreclose on his property is, of course, the county's property. It's the Countess's property.
yes,
It becomes our problem by extension. I feel that if she doesn't already, the Countess should know about this, just so she facts it into her plan that one of her senior knights is indebted to bodies outside of the county.
I would agree. She definitely needs to know.
And I don't mean to make such an accusation in terms of belittling or trying to deride the Baron. Simply, it's facts. Well, I mean, I guess the question is, do we approach the Baron and let him know this information has become public knowledge and encourage him to inform the Countess? It will tell us more of what a man he is if he
I think, yeah, I think that's a good idea. We should um, have a talk with Baron Huel, inform him that his uh, debt has become widely known, and that the Countess, should he fail to inform the Countess, that she will be informed.
Now, he might deny that it exists, in which case we've learned something else.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to arrange the meeting?
Sure, I can do that. Who do you want? Just me and you, or just you, or just me?
I think. Well, at least the three, like you, I, and the Baron.
Yes.
Whether or not we include Harad, I don't see any reason to. Sorry, Kyned. I think we could or we could not. I think it's irrelevant. It's whether we stand as this is something that you and I have discovered, or this is something particular to the Brotherhood of the Axe.
He told you this like 10 sessions ago.
It's true, he did.
I'm trying to work out whether 10 sessions ago was more time in real time or in game time.
Yeah.
Oof.
I guess it was only 5 sessions ago, according to my notes.
Well, should we talk with Kyned first?
Yeah, let's do that. So we will go find Sir Kyned.
Sir Kyned is probably catching up with his jonglers if they are here in the castle.
They are, and what's happened is that based on Sir Kendric personally giving his blessing to the play about him being a sort of horny wolf demon, your jonglers are like subcontracting that band. So, you have given your official blessing to your bard troop, your jonglers, and they are basically like, hey, these guys are under our banner, almost like surfing serfs. They're subletting their official title, their jongler title, out to those guys so that they can claim part of the barteret. They're subletting. They want to claim some of the glory from that, but also they want some of the money from it. And in return, those guys are receiving technically your protection and how do I put this? Telling stories about the nobility in that kind of manner can upset some people. You know what I mean? Like goodly Christians who really super love their lords, which admittedly is not that many people, but they are the kind of people to butcher bard bands who talk some mad shit and then bury them by the side of the road so no one ever finds them, sort of deal. If it's known that a friend of Sir Kendric is the one helping push the play and that it's all, it's all a joke, it's all a jest, it keeps those traveling theatrical troupe from being murdered in the middle of the night by upset loyal citizens.
Genuine parody.
So they're here and they are toasting because they've made an extra pound this year just off of the sublet. And so, they all have fresh new clothes and they look like rich merchants.
Nice.
Of course, their clothes, you can see, like the jewelry's fake. And the clothes are definitely secondhand from a real rich merchant. They look lived in for sure. Even though you've never seen these guys wearing it before. You get the idea that they're like play acting It may even become part of their band. And they've picked up a tin whistler.
Excellent.
For some reason, tin whistling has become surprisingly popular among the like low nobility. And so, yeah, people are starting to get into it everywhere. It's become sort of like slow rolling viral. Like a reverse Harlem Shake. Rather than disappearing instantly overnight, it's kind of slow boiling. My lord! It is
Gentlemen.
us, your jongler troupe, breakfast at Tiffany's.
Here's that the year has been good to you.
It has indeed. We have yet to receive that invitation from Lady Tiffany, but perhaps one day we will reach the heights of society we all hope for.
Excellent.
We've started a new comedy routine where we talk about Sir Kendric. It's a very popular subject all across the county and environments beyond. I've never had to find so many ways to rhyme the words girthy and loins before.
Well done, well done. What news from the world?
'Tis a sad place in every direction. Saxons everywhere. Invaders. The south is truly afire. The Isle of Wight has fallen fully. To the north, there is a question. Who is the true king? While many are asking if a certain northern lord who has married a daughter of Uther is the true king, he himself will say neither hide nor hair of it. And in the west, there's all sorts of mix-up among the three Cadlus, several brothers, that fool chasing the questing beast who rhymes has been spotted again far from home, even though his home is in distress without him. Times are not good, my lord, but I can say this. A plot has been uncovered underneath our county's very nose. Have you heard
Really?
of the Lady Yennefer?
I have.
They say that spies infiltrated her household and tried to convert the local household to a new religious fad coming out of the Dark Continent. And as she fled her home in fear of her life, she was taken upon by brigands and thieves claiming to be members of her household. In time, they had worked their way into the den of Sir Kendric, never realizing that he was no humble, handsome lord, but in fact, the Wolfman himself, a spawn of the devil, who can summon demons to speak the true crimes of any he lays eyes upon, or something like that. His wife found out about the plot and locked them all away, but for theatrical purposes, let us say that he has been given eyes of the devil by Satan himself. That's what we sell the small folk on. They love that kind of stuff.
Change Satan to the gods of old, and I think you've got something there. And Kendric probably won't beat your heads in with his
Our local
large
audience is
hammer.
very Christian based, though. If we change it to like local, demon wolf lord, it just isn't as, it's not as snappy,
Well, I'll leave you to work the details out.
Now, if we were in Ireland, that would be a very different case. 100% we could find some sort of local wolf god that we could say possesses him, but just leave us to our Judeo-Christian themes.
Any word from Silchester?
What word isn't coming from Silchester? The good son, Sir Ufo, apparently writes letters every 2 weeks to his intended beloved, filled with empty platitudes, or so it is said, while he fools around in London. And London itself has turned into an armed encampment, a shithole, a besieged river city, with little access to the sea based upon Saxon arrows. And, of course, it has turned into a place of mystery with this anvil and sword and a rock. And some people say that, Merlin put it there, all of those things. I will say this. Some say that Duke Ulfius is planning on allying himself with one of the Saxons. That's the sort of information you get from the alehouses of the wealth. Kind of wealth that only a patron like yourself allows us to afford.
I mean, Orpheus has taught it, hasn't he, directly?
Yeah, but he doesn't know that.
Yeah.
These
Yeah.
junglers, they just drop the hottest tip in the world on you.
Well, you definitely seem to be in the pulse of things. Two of these stories have only recently come to my own ears, and I'm living them. So, well done, well done.
He snaps real quick and gestures to one of the junglers, who begins writing down the pulse of things as a new song title for them. You can hear them beatboxing some sort of like Eurobeat thing real quick as they're like working it out live in front of you.
And I think at this moment, that's probably when Kendric and Gwgan come in. Kendric, you should hear the stories that they're telling about you.
What are they saying about me?
They begin going into a iambic pentameter that somehow manages to rhyme girthy and loins.
Impressive.
Tell him a bit about the eyes. I think let's get his opinion on it.
Perhaps it would be best for us to withdraw this day. I have heard that it is not wise to insult the Lord to his face. You are a very kind and generous master, Sir Kyned, but I am sure that Sir Kendric has much more to speak to you about than to be bandying with jonglers such as us about his girthy loins and his satanic eyes.
We do have some business to speak of, Sir Kyned.
Very well.
Disappear into the background. Literally, they disappear into the background, by the way. They become 2D cutouts of themselves.
They're like Homer pulling back into the hedge wall. Kyned, some time ago, you mentioned concerns that you'd heard regarding Baron Hill's finances. It seems that even the small folk in Vagon Castle now discuss it.
Not surprising. He wasn't able to. Was barely able to pay the contractors that put together the tournament for UFO, and I heard that all of the work that he's doing in his empty manors people have been going unpaid for months now. Well, that was the summer, so that was 6 months prior to now. Wouldn't surprise me if it's...
We mean to put the Baron to the question regarding his finances, simply from the point of view that if it's begun to spread to the small folk, it will spread further sooner. And that could potentially cause some compromising situations for the Baronet, for the Countess. Would you like to be a party to that conversation?
Happy to confirm what you've heard.
And this, just to be clear, this is not an act out of malice. This is an act to ensure the right outcome for both the Baron and for the Countess.
The question is, do you want to confront the Baron in front of the Countess? Or
no, not at all. No, this is a conversation among men to be had to give him the opportunity to tell the Baroness directly in his own terms.
Very well.
Let's go corner the Baron.
So it's the three of you and the Countess speaking with Baron Will?
No, it's just the three of us.
Countess. Yeah.
Just the three of you. Okay.
Yeah.
Where would you like to confront him at in Sarum? Of the whole of the castle and its environs.
What was he? He's the castellan, or what role did he get in the end?
He's the castellan.
Does he have an office? We can ask him in his office.
We've been to the office so many times.
Let's meet him in his office.
You pull him aside at the feast. The question is, which one of you asked to speak with him, I suppose?
Kendric.
Yeah, I think it'll be me.
Okay. Kendric, you have an easier time approaching than the others because you're a banneret, and so, he's holding a sort of mini court as one of the highest ranking and most glorious knights here. And you cut through that line like butter, making your way to the front, passing by lesser knights, courtiers, esquires, squires, and asked to speak with him privately. He looks a little uncomfortable, but then gives you a Gwent nod and begs everyone to allow him a few minutes for him to speak with his... God, what would he call you? Because you're one of his...
Vavasseur.
Well, vassal, essentially.
Yeah. But so, yeah, technically, yes.
Yeah. Oh, he probably says something really dramatic, like must needs. I've been watching a lot of Final Fantasy 14 streams lately because Sea-Dog VA has been playing it. So if I say must needs 15,000 times...
Isn't it needs must?
And if you watch Final Fantasy 14, Stankred says must needs every 5 minutes. And by the way, he's voiced by Taliesin Jaffe from Critical Role, so I've heard it is truly burned into my mind. I hate it. I hate it so much. Someone needs to stop writing must needs. I agree with you. Any normal world would be needs must, and it's still such an awkward phrase. Anyway, so the Baron gets a little dramatic to kind of cover for having to leave, and then is confronted by the three of you in his office, and now he looks genuinely uncomfortable in the middle of this feast as he plops down in his chair and says, "Good nights. What can I do for you?"
Baron, thank you for taking a moment in the day. We wanted to have this quick conversation with you as men, as knights, as fellow vassals of the Countess. Unfortunately, it seems that the small folk have begun to spread rumors of your house's financial situation, claims of deep debts to both lenders here in Britain and abroad. Unfortunately, once it's among the small folk, the news would spread quite quickly. Our only concern was that as a vassal of the Countess, if your ability to retire your debts comes into question, it potentially comes onto the county itself in terms of foreclosure on estates that are technically part of our land. We wanted to discuss this with you first and not involve the Countess so that we could hear from you whether these rumors are true or not. And if they are true, then to encourage you to discuss them with the Countess if you have not already, simply so that she is informed. This is not a case of us trying to create grief. This is us trying to ensure positive outcomes for both your estates and the county in general. If there's some way that we can help, then that's also a matter to be tabled too.
So I'm telling you a thing. It's not magical. It doesn't just like instantly happen from here. But as a result of this conversation, whether it becomes publicly known or not, the shame of this conversation has lowered his own perception of his honor by one for Baron Will. Just the idea that other knights would come to him talking about his financial decisions deeply... It's not even that he's ashamed that he's doing them. He's ashamed that it's known to peers. You can see that his mouth is dry, and he tries to dry swallow and says, "Gentlemen, the county offerings are sparse. I don't have to tell you how difficult it has been coming up with tribute every year, even with Sir Kendric's masterful raid. I have been advancing in every direction I can find in order to secure natural resources and manorial wealth, to continue all of the building projects we have deeper inside the county. Here, the walls must be paid for here. This is the center point of our entire county. This is our castle. Gwgan and Sarum must be protected. And the wealth has to come from somewhere. And I don't know very much. I certainly didn't know a lot about how to build things or chopping down trees and greening wood and all of that. And I'm having to learn very quickly. But every estate that I take comes with its own set of problems, and they require their own defenses as the line moves further and further out. And so even as I invest new knights, those knights require new armor and new arms. And I swear in a few years, we'll see a positive return. I'm really hoping that my massive investment in fairies is just, I'm telling you, it's going to pay off. It could be a few years. If we just hold on and can hold the creditors off for a few more years, I think we'll start to see some positive returns. He stops and swallows, and he reaches for any sort of liquid near him, and there is truly nothing except an inkwell. And he
That's an inkwell.
looks at it and swallows again. And he does not meet any of your eyes as he glances around.
I think, Baron Huel, Your Grace, your problems are our problems. And so these are problems that can be solved together. It sounds like the rate at which you are expanding is exceeding your ability to manage that rate of expansion. Perhaps if land and resources is the solution here, then we need to spread this load. For example, you take an estate, you then spend the time to understand and work it. One of us takes an estate, does the same, then the next, and then the next, until it comes back to you. Rather than you trying to claim a new estate, garrison, and sustain it every year, year on year.
Oh, I'm taking more than one estate. Over a dozen since I was enfeoffed as a baron.
Well, that only exacerbates the issue even further, I'm sure you can see.
Yes, it has become a sort of hole for money. But it has allowed us critical natural resources, and securing Ambrosius's dike. Some things are more important than money, like oaths and honor and glory. Now, I want to be clear that you can tell that he's saying these things, but he doesn't believe that. He truly believes that the money is the most important thing, which is good because he's a seneschal. And if he didn't believe that, there could be problems.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want a seneschal fueled by copium, for sure.
I'm sure you'll agree, though, that oaths can't repel a catapult, that the peasants can't eat honor. Glory cannot be planted.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
That's
I want oratory for sure. 100%. Yeah.
Glory cannot be planted. I love that.
Somewhere out there, there's a real life druid who's looking directly at GrimDarkJames, standing next to a beautiful 1,000-year-old oak.
Has anybody seen the film Kroll, an old '80s sci-fi fantasy movie? Yeah,
Yes.
there's a line in that where someone promises like a pirate glory, and he says, "No, glory is an empty cup. You know, eat it and go hungry. Seek it and go mad." Basically, I can't remember the third one, but there are three things that basically illustrate why glory is useless to a man. So,
But you guys are knights. You believe in glory.
yeah, no, we do. But I mean, there's also there's like our own glory is important, but also is keeping Britain sustained.
Of course, of course. Go ahead and check mark War 8. He crumples as his shame deepens, and he says, what would you have me do? Your advice is sound going forward, and yet I hold sand between my fingers now. I have no time to invest new estates one by one when already I hold the leavings of a dozen.
So first off, this information, as we agreed, is sensitive. So I think that we should limit as much as we can discussion of this to the three of us, but we must involve the Countess. She must know the affairs of her estate. And then between the four of us plus the Countess, we can come up with the right path working forward. But we must use whatever resources we have to quell any further discussions of this among the small folk. If I have to send money so that your estates appear flush with finances to dispute these claims, and that is what has to be done to ensure that the people do not begin to suspect that those that they pay vassalage to are indebted and in danger of foreclosure.
Might I ask you, Baron Huel, is it the expenditure of raising a knight that is causing the financial troubles?
How in depth do you want to get on this?
Give me the surface level.
So every time he attacks an estate, he has to repair the damages that he made.
Mm-hmm.
Then he's, this is a truly minor cost, but he's also taking care of a dozen noblewomen. Each knight so not all of the knights have to be truly raised, right? Like some of them are his knights that he's putting in. Others are like the young sons of these noblewomen that he's like, oh, you're like 14, great, you're a knight now. Like, we'll get to the specifics later, but I need you to be a knight so that you can swear fealty to me, sort of deal. Or like a well-performing army commander or like a mercenary commander. He is raising at least 5 different people, which has been enormously draining of his finances over the last few years. An army marches on its stomach. Yes, that is true. He, there's basically no money in the county to build the Salisbury's like defenses at Vagon and Sarum beyond what the three of you donate, essentially. So he is conquering these new areas and using them not for like pure money, but like, we need wood. Here's like a lumberjacking area, and I'm going to take that. And like, here's a stoneworking area. We're going to take that, and we're going to send the raw resources back, which still puts him in a hole because he's not paying for the resources, and the people he's taking it from want to be paid.
I mean, the other option would be to, rather than claiming estates, would be to raise estates, like strip them for all value and then burn them to the ground.
Agree that is true, but that is not something he's even remotely considered.
Because basically my question is like, if the problem is having the knights, like I have plenty of family knights that are unlanded.
He is landing knights, though.
Yeah.
I think this will have to be a roll. Maybe awareness? Intrigue, for sure. Intrigue, sorry.
Intrigue, okay.
Yeah, intrigue.
9.
there's something about the reason he's raising this knights that piques your interest. Kyned, you know this guy to be politically ambitious, and you also know that right up until a few days ago when he had a what do we want to call it, a tete-a-tete maybe with Kendric, that Kendric was essentially his biggest rival. Like, yes, Sir Gwgan is probably one of the most honorable, but he is but a knight, right? Like, not on the verge of becoming a banneret quite yet. And Gwgan even is essentially a regent, a steward, not the true king of Gondor. When the true knight of his house comes of age, Sir Gwgan will be just a household knight. And we know that Gwgan has been offered like an independent manor, but that's not public knowledge in any way. Like, Gwgan is a very honorable knight, but he does not hold any personal holdings yet, I believe. It is all held in the name of his lord. This guy is so invested. I mean, you rolled a 1. That's basically the best you could roll besides getting a 15. This guy's so invested in staying ahead of everybody else to be like the Countess's right-hand guy in terms of honor, glory, and money, that he will basically do anything to have as many vassals as possible to make him as like powerful and popular as possible. Sorry, to bring it all back, beating Kendric is a large part of this as well, because Kendric is his only rival for power. When he just took care of at truly incredible expense of funding a castle, which is hundreds and hundreds of pounds of commitment for years. All right. It looks like KCGJ Coyle wrote the song about Kendric in iambic pentameter here, so I'm going to read it, and I'm going to hope that I can read this on stream. It was in manner gained by mirthy coins that our Lloyd oft deployed his girthy loins. From maid to spinster, from widow to last, no bedsheet was left by him undampened, no demure excuse or protest given pass.
Nice.
From maid to spinster, huh, Kendric? That's what they say.
That's what they say.
That's what they say. All right. Only Kyned has realized that this guy is truly in a competition, like racing against the ghost of Kendric in a Gran Turismo game. He truly is in a competition with no one to get first place.
We shouldn't let this conversation dampen the affairs of the gathering. We should talk with the Countess once the Christmas celebration is done.
I will speak with her alone. I'm sure that I have much to tell her. This is seneschal business. And you are right, she should be informed.
I believe that everything you have done has been for the good of this county, Baron.
As do I.
He looks directly at the camera and he says, for the peace of the kingdom.
Nice
Kyned will
definition, ain't
just
it?
kind of do the knowing Gwent nod at the back, but not vocalize.
Okay.
All right. Give him the the chest salute as we leave.
Yeah, I mean, his spirits are truly dampened, and the feast will not be the same for him.
As we make back,
just make sure we tell the servants to keep his cups always full.
as we're walking back by ourselves, I'm assuming that Queel needs a minute and isn't following us. Kyned will very quietly say, appears that jealousy may have more to do with this than anything else. He's very worried about you, Kendric. And you were the only one left, I believe, that had any way to challenge him in his mind. And I think that he may have personally bankrupted himself to build you your castle. He's definitely
Interesting.
one for appearance and wants to be sure that he's on top.
It's a shame how often glory and pride get confused. Yet only one was put in man's heart. Only one was put in man's heart by Lucifer.
Indeed. I think he took our feud personally when all I wanted was what was best for the county.
The peace of the county.
The peace of the county.
Thinks that he is the best of the county and doesn't want think in his own way that I think if we hadn't pointed it out, he would have ruined himself and ruined the county at his expense.
Hold on. Let me be clear here. Just because you've told him to stop doing this doesn't mean he's not, like, his debt doesn't suddenly disappear.
No, exactly,
no.
yeah.
But, hopefully he's not going to keep digging it deeper.
Oh no, he's definitely in that Nigerian scam thing right now, where the only way to get out of it is to pray and hope that they'll somehow turn around and decide to, give you money back.
So I made a joke earlier at apparently the audience's expense because I mentioned fairies and someone thought I was talking about the mythical creatures. I was talking about the water transport, and the reason I selected that was twofold. One, because all of his original lands are along a river, and many of the lands he's been conquering are along a river. And two, it's because it's one of the worst optimized choices to select. It costs an enormous amount of money to build a ferry dock, and then there's a chance that while operating it, you'll lose money. So I thought it would be very funny to have him be like, don't worry, these ferries will make a ton of money. They definitely improve local infrastructure for sure. It's great for people. It also costs you money to run them. There is a high probability that they will make less money than it costs to run them.
All right. So he's got one stewardship and an I'll do it myself attitude. Nice.
Hey, listen, that stewardship can only go up from here, is all I'm saying. Why can't you have a positive can-do attitude towards this situation, James? So why you got to be so negative? Leave that part to me.
Hey, to me, how many jobs are award enthusiasm?
Okay, I think we're at break time. We should depart here, and when we return, we'll return back to the feast and do feast things.
Excellent.
Even though we've done a bunch of intrigue already. All right, audience, we'll be back in about 5 minutes. As you return to the feast, you find the rest of the Order of the Axe is engaged in a lively discussion, ignoring their wives, and also, in Gwent's case, several, let's call them, kept women, with whom he is having bastards with as well. Have we talked about that? Have I? Okay, just making sure. I thought that I did indicate that Gwen is truly spending literally all of his money supporting having as many children as possible. You can hear that they are debating the second commandment of the Christian doctrine that prohibits idolatry, although they are saying at this time that it prohibits making carved images to worship.
And there is graven images even.
So they are debating the nature of the Trinity and whether or not a cross or Christ on a cross truly breaks this commandment. Hayden, of course, is strongly in the official line of the church, which is that because Jesus Christ was he lived on earth as a man, it's not idolatry for him. But like if you tried to make pictures of God the Father or the Holy Spirit, that would break the second commandment. So he is kind of pro in favor of all Christian iconography, as long as it is Jesus Christ affiliated. Sir Seed is like, I don't know. I think I need to be convinced either way. Erwin, what do you think? And Erwin's just like, I honestly don't care. None of this discussion has anything to do with me. And Sir Gwent is passionately on the side of like, truly, based on my reading, any iconography is a sin. It breaks the second commandment. Like, you can't go running around with crosses. Save that for the people who truly need them in order to ward off the dark creatures of the forest. If you could actually donate all of your silver crosses to me, we could really use them in the swamp to set up a sort of barrier. Do any of you want to get involved in this as you come back?
I'm able to get involved in it, but I don't know how much time I want to spend on Gwgan waxing lyrical about religion.
Okay, but where do you fall on this sliding scale of second commandment discussion?
So that, I'll say it. So look, the way I see it, when the commandments are brought down, the commandment that no graven idol should be raised refers specifically to the worship of God or gods. We don't revere Jesus Christ as a god. The symbol of Christ on a cross is not a focal point for us to revere Christ. It's a focal point for us to remind ourselves of the sacrifice that Christ made so that all of us could live free from sin.
Okay, so you come down on Hayden's and the traditional line as well, yeah, which fills him with pride.
Yeah.
Sir Kyned, any opportunity to weigh in here on this debate?
I'm new to this whole thing, so I'm learning from all of you.
Okay. Gwgan, if you can check mark spiritual, and Kendric, if you can check mark worldly.
Sure.
Any other scenes you want to solve at this feast?
Kyned would like to see the Countess.
Okay. Now, is this privately or as part of the, like, hey, I want to go get information and talk to the Countess in front of everybody sort of deal?
It can be in front of everybody.
Okay. You make your way up the line. It takes a little while for you. Eventually, you find yourself seated next to her, and she says, Sir Kyned, I hope you find yourself well this winter season.
I am, your ladyship. How about yourself? Has it been a
times have been
good winter
struggling
so far?
But we make do with what we have.
I understand.
She sweeps her eyes across the crowd and sees someone out there and gives a small, almost secretive smile and says, we make do with what we have, and we find ourselves whatever comfort we can in these dark times.
It's on that I kind of did want to can I roll intrigue to see if Kyned figures out what I've
no, it's awareness. You can't just
it's awareness.
It's not intrigue. You're like, oh, I will unravel the threads of where her eyes are looking.
Same die roll. 1 on a 15.
She's looking at Sir Gwgan.
Mm-hmm.
Of course she is.
I appreciate your commitment to in-characterness, though. Because Spoon immediately started going,
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Kendrick's just sitting there like, I'm having a great time.
Um, on that similar subject, that I did want to speak with you, making the best of what we have. I was hoping to get your permission to put some fortifications around my manor, given everything that is going on in the world these days.
I agree that defenses are very necessary, certainly. But times are tight everywhere, and I know that money has been quite stretched. I don't want to speak too openly of this, but are you sure that you can afford such an investment?
I can't go quite as far as my brothers have, but I can at least make make a start of it.
Okay. She gives you a look of frank appraisal. I would like you to make a courtesy to see how well you stand in this court.
Can I call upon my loyalty lord?
Yeah, sure.
That's a success.
You gaslight yourself into believing you're doing this in the best interests of the county.
I succeed on my courtesy.
You do
See,
indeed.
regardless.
Please checkmark courtesy. And she looks at your face, draws upon confidence that you are displaying, and gives you a nod, and then turns to look back over the hall and says, yes, you should certainly make sure that your lands are protected. And you are right. You certainly deserve the same status that the other Order of the Axe Knights of your level of seniority enjoy. I will not
I appreciate it, milady.
hold you back. Tell me, I know that you occasionally receive information from afar. I know that there is counsel about Ulfius and all of the Saxon bands. What do you make of next year's series of tributes, given what we had to go through this year? Do you have any counsel for me? You remember all that stuff you talked about 5-10 weeks ago. You've got it all written down, right?
I do. I just need to scroll back a little bit.
It's a point and click King's Quest style game when you're going through your inventory and you're like, for sure I have an item that I'm supposed to put here, right? Let me just figure it out. We put each one in the keyhole until something works.
Yeah. Use blah with blah.
Okay, Zork. Up, down.
Yeah, that's how King's Quest works as well.
The nasty knife.
I will say that I have the same reservations that I did at the beginning of this year, that I worry about where the tribute is going to end. We cannot afford to pay off 2 to 3 sets of Saxons to protect us from each other indefinitely. Ulfius seems to think that backing the one right one will be what needs to happen. I can say that there's some merit to that. It is what I agreed to the first year. I'll say when we tried to call upon our friends, we might not have gotten what I would think is our 100 pounds worth. But I also understand we're not back to full strength yet. We may need to endure for another year. But I hope that with the additional strengthening that we're doing around the castle, and with more knights coming and Kendric being raised to a larger position, hopefully we'll be able to find our way out of this in another couple of years. He is certainly the better tactician than I am, but from what I've heard, I think that it may move us to follow Ulfius's lead and only back one tribe next year instead of 2 or 3.
Very well. I know that Ulfius chases this idea that Ael of Sussex will become the first Saxon High King of the Saxons since the deaths of Horsa and Hengist. Well, your politics were roundabout, but you do seem to agree with Ulfius. I will keep that in mind when I need to make the decision. She gives you a slightly dismissive nod as she gestures for you to rejoin the feast.
I do.
Yes, audience, I know it's Brett Walda, but they haven't invented that word yet. They're not going to invent it for a few more years, and then they're going to say it, and they're going to be like, that's pretty good. Britton Walda. Yeah, let's call it Brett Walda.
There's a lot of stuff in Pendragon which has not been invented yet that we're still using, so
why should language
be
mail?
different?
Yeah, sure. Why not? Heraldry?
Knights? Chivalry?
I mean, some concept of knighthood certainly existed in this time period. The most basic idea that serfs serve sort of super powerful omni-god-like lord who gets to wear all the good armor. Okay. Who else has something to do here at the feast?
I think Kendric would gather Sir Gwgan and Sir Kyned up. Brothers, what did you make of our 2 knights on probation this summer and fall on our travels?
I don't know that they've really had the opportunities to either wow us or to be dismissed by us. I think that whatever lofty goals we have around establishing a minimum quality for the order, what we need is more knights. I hate to say it, but potentially a sword and a heartbeat is really what we need.
Fair enough.
Somewhere out there, Baron Will is nodding, even though he's been deeply insulted.
Sir Kyned?
I agree with Gwgan. I didn't see greatness out of them, but we also didn't spend massive amounts of time with them. They weren't tested on the battlefield, so I've honestly, after our last conversation, started thinking, should I knight my squire early when they turn 18 next year?
But you would not speak against them becoming full members?
No.
I would not, but I also wouldn't mind if we made their probationary period for another 6 months. I see no reason to dismiss them. I don't think that they acquitted themselves such that I am chomping at the bit to sign them on.
My own squire will turn 21 next year, and I intend to invest her and invite her to join the order as well.
I think that while they did not have an opportunity at glory and greatness in battle, their conduct in the forest was exemplary. The fact that they, at least for the most part, kept their heads and did not despair in a fey-touched forest, I think speaks to their quality. Unless you two have objections, I plan on making them both full members.
I mean, at what point do we stop being a brotherhood of like-minded and like-trained knights and become basically a warrior lodge within the county of Salisbury? At what point do we simply state that, we offer to all knights of Salisbury to take up the axe, and that becomes part of the symbolism of this county?
That's a good question.
Wow, look at this guy thinking for the ages. Truly, Gwgan should be added as a great man in the Civilization series.
I think when our numbers are more than, 10, 15 knights, enough to field a few lances, then that question might be able to be answered. But until then, we shall see.
Indeed.
And then I will go to Sir Seath and Dame Irwin and welcome them as full members of the Order of the Axe.
Well. Okay. I have no follow-up, We get a little scene of the two of them celebrating and cheersing cups together. Erwin smiles for the first time. Seath almost seems like an upstanding human for the first time, rather than just kind of a semi-cowardly dude who goes with the flow at any possible cost, holding absolutely no values.
Let's face it, the only person that ever really failed to join the Brotherhood was the squire that you dismissed, Kendric.
Yeah, and then killed.
Yeah.
Do they know about that?
I don't know. I don't know if anybody knows that he was the one raiding my lands.
Yeah.
I thought you told us.
It's probably come up. I mean, he certainly would have kept that.
I think we know about. I think we know about it. I don't know if the whole order knows about it.
You told Kyned and Gwgan and Gwent.
Yeah.
Okay.
It certainly wouldn't be a secret.
Any other festival shenanigans? It's certainly been a very active dinner for what little I had.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go to end of year stuff. One thing to note is that the audience may not be surprised to hear that I don't know that much about Book of the Manor, because we're not always going to be using it, and we have several experts in Book of the Manor here, so I basically let them run things. I didn't see a thing in Book of the Manor for how to account for, like, famine or tributes. I don't know if there's some way to, like, say that fate is altered somewhat, or to just wrap it all up by saying bandit raid, essentially, as like a stand-in.
So normally certain years in the Great Pendragon campaign book will say there is a modifier to the weather, like the year
Yes.
that the king dies, for example.
Mhm.
So usually the way that you would apply famine is that would be a modifier to the weather roll that you would do, like the 3d6 plus 6 roll. You'd
36
add
plus
more
5?
to it. A 3d6 plus 5, sorry. You would add more to
Yeah.
it if it's like worse weather.
Okay.
But there's also, like, in terms of the tribute, because we've also been paying out of our own coffers.
That is
So
true.
the question, yeah, whether
That is true.
we've already sort of, like, covered the cost of that.
But they do specifically say that this year it is a bear year, which I have been attempting to elucidate
To
to
demonstrate.
during the feast. Dodging the tribute though is really helping.
What do you mean dodging it?
I mean, if you're paying it out of your own pocket and you're not forcing the county to go into debt over that,
Yeah,
I'm not making
that's
you
it, yeah.
guys add tribute to the end of the year stuff. So
Yeah.
okay, let's get started. I do need everyone to put a check into fairy lore, and I also need everyone to put a check into Valorous before you make all of your rolls. I see some people are already blazing with these rolls, absolutely killing it.
Well, I went through and did all of my
XP
some
checks.
of my manorial stuff. You have to make a roll to see whether or not you get a check from the manorial improvement.
Sure.
So that's what I was doing.
I'm not
there
trying to
with
slow
my,
anybody down here. I just hadn't turned over and looked.
Okay, let's get started on.
You said there was going to be a solo scenario?
There will be, but those will come after we do XP. I believe is
My
the order.
energetic goes up by one.
It's listed as step 1 of the winter phase.
Very well. Well, then let's run those 3 solo scenarios real quick.
Okay.
Would anyone like to volunteer to go first?
I volunteer Kendric.
Well, you volunteered yourself because I said who would like to go first, and you spoke. So you almost let Glimo do it. So James, yours is a little different. Mine begins by asking you a question. You spend some time in the castle with your amour. You I shouldn't say you spend time. You make time in the castle to spend time with your amour. So my question for you is, how involved are you in Robert's life, and in what way are you positioning your relationship?
I think that I was actually thinking about this during the episode as well. Is that I think that Gwgan would naturally fall into trying to be a positive male figure in Robert's life, like never trying to say, like, I think about the joke in a previous episode, like, I'm not trying to replace your dad, but if I see opportunities for teaching moments, that I think that that medieval Gwgan thinks that a woman couldn't possibly show a young boy, to scope that in a way that doesn't imply that this is
Right, we understand.
overly sexist. Yeah, I think that certainly Gwgan is going to step in and do that, and his hope would be to have a positive relationship with Robert going forward too. Because how old's Robert now? He's like 12 or something. Or
it has been some question, and I believe we've talked about this several times. He is raised to becoming, so the book lists 2 different ages as the problem, but he is raised to being an earl in the year 509. Spoilers for the future. But he is raised early, and it's not clear whether they mean he's 20 or he's 18 or earlier than that. So, I mean, just based on that time period, then, given that we're a little bit over 10 years before that, he's between the ages of 4 and 8 right now. I think in general, we can just assume that he is a youngish lad.
Yeah.
Probably not old enough to like begin swordsmanship training or anything like that. A lot of schooling, a lot of roughhousing. I don't know how kids act between the ages of 4 and 8. I'm just going to assume roughhousing. I don't know that ever actually ends, by the way.
Yeah. So I think that the answer to the question is that Gwgan does take a faux fatherly like approach to interactions with Robert.
So you're not his stepfather, you're just his scoutmaster. I understand.
Yeah.
I would like you to make a just roll, and if you fail that, I'd like an arbitrary roll.
Okay.
Your whole relationship with him rides on this roll.
Nice.
That's pretty good. Okay, so if you don't have one, you can take a check mark in just. And you try to set him on a good path, but not just a good path for one's future liege. And you think you do a pretty good job imparting some lessons. And I think it encompasses you taking a more familial role, moving into your sort of flirty relationship with your work wife outside of your relationship with your real wife. Spoon's over here smiling. All right, you're next, Spoon, you son of a bitch.
All right.
Truly, this isn't a Crusader Kings 3 event, but it should be. Because it's an event I've encountered in real life where you find yourself across the table from your wife one day and she looks at you very seriously with that sort of ghostly pale beauty that Lady Gwgan has, and she says, "Is there anything you need to tell me, dear?" And you know that there are so many rumors about you.
Yes.
She could be asking about literally anything.
Was there something specific?
Is there something you need to get off your mind?
I don't think so.
Okay. You have chosen the path of pain, Spoon. I would like you to make a deceitful roll.
Okay.
I'm only asking you this because of all of the sleeping around with other women.
Failure.
Okay. I'm going to need an honest roll now.
Success.
Oh, Spoon, you know what this means.
Sure.
I'm going to need a check mark. And one day they will write a rap song about this moment that starts with, "This is my confession." As truly you begin confessing to all of the infidelities that you have had, ones that she had no idea about.
I mean, there's
If you succeed in deceitful,
two.
There's only
If you
been
succeed-
two. It's okay.
Look,
if you succeeded in deceitful, it would have been Shaggy's. It wasn't me. Is what you wrote then.
It wasn't
yes.
me.
So I think while yes, he has been
There's a hollow sense
he's
of
committed
relief
some infidelity
as you spill the beans.
Yeah, and so I think one of the things, because I think both of those times have happened in a madness. Or at least a
Definitely the
melancholy.
one with
Titania,
yeah, was definitely madness. I don't know about the first one.
the young wolf one.
You're right. That may have happened because you were super drunk and partying as well. Yeah, you're right. These both were passionate things.
And so I think in his explanation, like, you know, because he does love his wife.
Babe, it's just locker room talk. It's just guy things.
And, you know, like, there are things that knights do that they cannot explain.
Okay, that's what you're going with. There are things knights do that they cannot explain.
And that you know, that he loves his wife and he loves his family, and that they will, you know, his infidelity is not what he would wish.
All right. My follow-up to this is a question. I'm not making you roll for anything. My question is, how sincere is this on a scale of your whole heart is going into this all the way down to YouTuber who got caught and is doing I'm sorry you feel that way?
No,
Those are the two. Those are the bookends.
Yeah.
Where are you?
He is one. His whole heart is in it. Like,
Okay.
he definitely does love his wife and his family, despite his passions.
I think your wife takes your hand and she doesn't say anything, but she just cries quietly with you for a while. and you know that this changes things between you. I think that the next day there is a question of, you've been honest about so much, there's a question of what your relationship with Yennefer is like, because now there's some questions that are coming into, you brought a beautiful young woman into your house. You promised her that she was going to get married. That marriage has not even remotely materialized. You've truly sent, all of her servants have been sent away. She's completely vulnerable. Now you're bringing in a translator to speak to her. Now you're like the only one that can communicate with her regularly. Like, there's a question. She's not accusing you of anything in an outright way. It's just like, what is going on with this woman who is living in our house that you're paying for?
I have done what I believed to be the just thing and not leave this young woman on the side of the road without a protector. I have no interest in marrying this Spanish lady.
Well, you're married to me, so...
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
I thought perhaps Hayden or some other match could be made.
I see.
That would,
as long as there's plans to get her moved to a house that matches her aesthetic.
Yes.
Someone closer to her age.
I mean, if you have any ideas, I am more than willing to let you do whatever you want.
Okay. I mean, now that you've given her the green light to get this competitor out of her house, now that she knows that you occasionally step out, she's gonna. This is now her goal this year is to get rid of Yennefer, and not like, I'm gonna get rid of Yennefer. Like, we need to get her, out into the world. James, I did want to step back. I forgot to mark down, how old is the lord that you serve now? This young woman.
Let me quickly check. Just maybe start with Glimo while I look that up.
Okay, Glimo.
Hang on, but before you, can I possibly transition this into a love of wife passion?
Oh no, no, I don't think so.
Okay.
I think you're lucky that your love of life wasn't. Yeah, Bob says, in my defense, I am famously lustful. You can be lustful to your wife, okay?
Listen, and I would have if it was an option.
Sir Kyned,
Yes.
as you already know, you have set aside your trueborn heir for one of your uncle's children, correct?
Yes.
And you have also adopted another series of children at various different times. And
Yes.
so as a result, all of the children younger than your new heir are basically in alignment against you, including your own heir, who you've essentially screwed out of inheriting the house. Now, these are just kids, but they are also under the thumb of the other adults around here, who are explaining the world to them through their tutors and through conversations. And they are coming to understand that, like, some of them should be in control of this house, whether they are born of your blood or are born of the blood of your brothers and cousins. And God, what was she to you? She was your step.
My sister-in-law.
Yes, your sister-in-law. Yeah. So, these children are united against you, and have turned it into a sort of pranking situation where they get, they think that this revenge that they're getting on you is very important, but for you, it's just super annoying and petty, and it's never explained to you why these children hate you and are doing these things. So for you, it's just kind of annoying. So my question is, how do you respond to incessant pranking? And to be clear, this is a bunch of young kids at different ages who are deeply entertained by, like, knocking over one of your glasses, breaking it, and being like, prank, bro, and then they all run off while all giggling and screaming, pranked. There's no finesse to it. It's like a YouTuber from 2018 rather than a YouTuber from 2006,
I think that So like Kyned's oldest is 2. So Kyned has like no concept as to how kids are supposed to kid.
Well, you now have like 6+ children.
Right.
That went wildly out of
Yeah.
control in the space of 1 year.
Right. I think he goes to, the one living parent, his Uncle Krieg, and it's like, is this normal? Is this just how little kids act? I don't.
No, absolutely not. You should come down hard on them. They need to understand discipline. That's the Christian way. You know what it says in the good book? Spare the rod, spoil the child.
That Krieg was pagan.
You know what? I don't have your whole family tree and all that stuff in there. But he says whatever the pagan version of that is, because I basically can guarantee there's a very similar passage in almost every religion.
I think that I think Kyned doesn't. He remembers what Gordon Ramsay told him right before he left the
Hold on.
feast.
You mean the gallant, right? You mean the gallant.
Yes, the gallant.
The gallant of the Forest Savage.
Yes.
Okay. Just making
And so
sure.
he doesn't want to like beat the shit out of.
You don't want to beat the shit out of a bunch of kids. Yeah, I
out of a
understand.
bunch of kids.
Okay.
But I think he'll probably hire like a nanny or a tutor or something to like try to focus the kids on something other than so that they don't have as much free time to screw with all of Kyned's shit.
Okay. So it comes down to choosing between making a forgiving or a vengeful roll here.
I would roll forgiving.
Now, are you rolling forgiving because that's your better stat, or are you rolling forgiving because you're forgiving these children?
I'm pretty sure vengeful. I'm pretty sure I'm known for being vengeful.
Okay.
Oh
well,
yeah, I am known.
It's
for
about
being...
time you're not going to be known for vengeful if you succeed at this. So go ahead, roll forgiving first.
Yeah, I am known for being vengeful. So I failed forgiving.
Okay, roll vengeful. Okay.
I succeed on vengeful.
Go ahead and checkmark vengeful.
I checked vengeful.
This is some real Hunchback of Notre Dame hellfire shit. It's not even that you're doing this. It's that, you've hired a tutor with a wink and a nudge, and you're like, make sure that they have something to do. And this tutor is like, well, I've heard what this guy is like, so it's time to bring order and discipline into this household. And then, like, the children are made, like, every time they make a mistake, their knuckles are wrapped. But to be clear, all of these incidents are blamed on you. Like, the tutor's like, the Lord is making me do this.
Oh no.
But that never comes back to you. You never see any of the physically harmful disciplines.
Fucking A.
Yep. So I'm just going to make a note on this track here that things are getting worse with the children with you. But hey, you're now more known for being vengeful if your vengeful goes up in a second. So, James, I'm circling back around to you to ask about how the young lady is becoming...
So she's turning 12 this year.
And she becomes a knight at 21, which will be
right.
in 9 years.
Yep.
So that will be in 506.
And I looked up, by the way, as well. According to the errata document for the Great Pendragon campaign,
okay,
Robert was born in 492.
492.
Yeah, so he would therefore then the end of start of 98 would be turning 6.
Okay.
Yep.
So he acts like a 6-year-old in his conversation with you.
Okay.
Man, 506 is going to be a hot year. There's going to be some real shit happening in 506 is all I'm saying. I got so many notes. You receive word, Sir Gwgan, that there are many texts that are being asked of you for this 6-year-old girl. Now, you don't know which estate she's been staying at or what her undercover name is for her own.
12-year-old, sorry.
Yeah, sure, 12-year-old. Yes, 12-year-old. But she has been asking for texts from a Greek philosopher by the name of Xenophon, who is a renowned equestrian and also general. But he's well known for like writing long treatises on writing. His other big claim to fame is that he was one of Socrates' students, and Socrates said only people who have bad memories write things down, so no one should write any of my lessons down. And all of the rest of his students agreed, and Xenophon went, "That's stupid as fuck, you idiot." So Xenophon wrote all of Socrates' stories down, which is why we know anything about Socrates to begin with. Yeah, you're asked to gather a number of texts at some cost. Nothing that we need to discuss, but you know, it's like several pounds, several libras worth of gathering things from the truly fracturing Western Roman administrative era.
It makes sense though, because her father was a master horseman, so I see no problem with devoting a bit of some coin to her education.
Okay. Let's get back to rolling for stuff and moving forward.
Okay.
Experience rules.
Let the dice begin.
I mean, this is why several people, including Salty Maker, watch the show, is for the epic spreadsheet action.
Okay, my merciful went up.
Yeah, my hunting. That's pretty amazing, considering it's a 17. Or well, 17 now.
My worldly went
vengeful
up.
did not go. None of my traits went up.
Wow, you had spiritual and worldly. Oh boy, the time of super Christian Gwgan is really coming to an end here.
Oh, my love of family went up. That's interesting.
All right, Spoon. Chat would like me to throw you a bone, so I will allow you to roll 3d6 for love of wife. Discord has convinced me privately that you should be given a shot. Oh, you think you can just show up here and have a 15 love of wife after cheating on her? You think you can just fucking do that, Spoon? In this house? To me? Unbelievable. I'm the one being cheated on by these dice. Love of God? James, how are you becoming more worldly, but you love God more?
Well, I didn't get the check-in. I'm now doing the ones that I have to roll to see if I get a check-in because of
okay.
Yeah, that's my flirting goes up.
I guess that also kind of fits the storyline this year.
My courtesy and my fairy lore go up.
Nice.
Oh, you think you can just go and up your fairy lore after going to Fairyland and talking to fairies? Including Gordon Ramsay?
It has to be above, right? If you critical,
yes, it has to be above, or it has to be a 20.
Okay. Oh my god, are you kidding me? That's 2 criticals I've gotten on these stupid rolls.
Intrigue goes up.
Wow. You guys are getting some pretty interesting ones.
Romance goes up. Romance and flirting in 1 year.
What are you, James? Nice. What are you doing here, man? What are you doing here? Your character is completely changing. This is some burning wheel shit where you're like, I started as like this hyper competent Christian, and now I'm like becoming worldly. I'm kissing my boss. I'm getting good at flirting with her. Oh, look at this.
My lust did not go up.
If I crit, nothing happens, right?
Nothing happens. It has to be higher.
Yeah. Okay.
Spoon in his Order of the Axe loyalty. Then you can just show up and...
Recognize goes up.
Ooh, and Lance goes up. Nice. I believe that is it for me.
Yeah, I'm done.
That's pretty.
I
That's
think
it,
I've got one more.
it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad.
Okay.
Loyalty Lord.
I'll
went up.
put my lance roll, sorry.
If you've finished up, I believe
Last
next up is aging. You'll check for your
Yes.
over 35-ness.
I am over 35.
Shout out in the audience to all the over 35s like myself.
Hey, it was actually my
My
birthday
age goes up. My squire's age goes up.
a couple days
How
ago, and
would you turn?
I am now
I'm
part of the over 35 club.
Yeah. Does that mean you're 35 or
36.
you're 36?
I'm 36.
Because technically, when you turn 35, every second after the time you turn 35, you're no longer exactly.
Semantics.
Hey.
Semantics.
Hey, Spoon,
Thank you, chat. Thank you, chat. Happy
Spoon.
birthday. Yes.
when are you going to accept my Steam gift for your birthday?
Oh, whenever I log into Steam next.
Okay, cool. Because I
Or
sent you a
Metrovideos.
crab-themed birthday gift.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. But
No
I don't want to be
loss.
one of these guys where, like, in a month, they're like, Steam has returned your gift. And I'll be like, why? Why? All right, you 45-year-old. You know what being 45 means? It means you're over 35. That's how greater than works.
No aging
Oh, we need
loss.
to do all of our followers rolls as well.
Yes,
Oh,
yes,
yes,
and wives and
Yeah.
It's what, 1d6 on the wifey. One
So-
fish, she's already at 15.
If it's below 15, it goes up by 1. If it's 15 or above, it's a 6 on a d6. If it's 20, it's a 20 on a d20.
Her stewardship goes up.
Oh, I have both stewardship and courtesy got for my wife.
That to be 3d6. Nope, none of mine go up.
So now it's economic circumstances, which goes into Book of the Manor.
yes.
So is it manorial luck first, if I remember right? James?
Sorry?
Manorial luck first?
Yeah, so we roll for calamity or luck or calamity. Benefit or calamity, that's the one, sorry. Let me get the book up.
Oh, never mind. I was totally wrong. We are doing tragedies now.
All right.
Yeah, so
Roll
it's-
on the mineral.
So it's a d6 first.
Oh,
See what-
sorry.
Okay, 6, I get a benefit.
You sons of bitches, you're always getting benefits. I got a 5.
I got a 1, which
That's
I'm guessing
no-
means calamity.
Calamity, and for you, Spoon, no result in the anarchy period.
What's
So I'll
good?
take my 10, which is property destroyed.
Well, my liege lord visits my house, and I get 2 additional Libra. I wonder why she came to my place when my feeling of romance went up. I'll show her my new gazebo.
Oh, James. You can't let the dice tell a story like this.
I love that
No
my-
permanent damage.
my chickens have come home to roost and James is collecting eggs.
James is collecting eggs. It's such an incredible statement.
All right, so then we've got to roll for. Well, is there any conflict, any raids or pillaging this year?
No, but the weather is at a +5 because of the famine conditions, according to
Okay.
the book. I mean, it doesn't say +5, it just says the weather is hard. And that
Yeah.
normally means a +5. So I believe it's 3d6 plus 10
Oh, yeah,
now.
so pestilence is +5, and pestilence 2 years in a row is +10.
Wow. Great news is that this is the first pest. Oh my god.
So
so
it's
high.
3d6 plus 5 minus 1.
So that's 23.
Yeah.
I rolled pretty good. Not the best, but pretty good.
Oh, you're you're rolling for all of us?
he rolls for the
I
county
rolled for the
basically.
weather. Yes.
Okay.
So remember, we reduce it by 1 because of if you've got a
Yep.
apiary, that's it. Right, so I need to roll for my anticipated income.
Well, and then we need to do care,
Yeah, invest.
concerned commoners.
Yeah, we'll go work out your anticipated income first.
Oh, okay.
So, which of my things have dice?
Oh, I'm gonna roll to see if Hayden's hatred Kyned goes up. I don't remember why he got this, but yes, it does. Do you remember what you did, Spoon, to make this become a thing? Glimo. To make...
It was something he said.
I was
in
trolling him about something. I don't.
Okay, well, now it's hatred Kyned 4. So.
All right. So my investment income is a 7, and I've got one of my.
I was trolling him about something, and he took that personally.
Arthur, can I take
wow, critical misfortune? That's bad, right?
Yep.
Can I take one Libra off the cost of my junglers this year because of the? You said they got an extra Libra.
You got me there. That's true. You can take one Libra off.
Okay, thank you.
Through their rideshare app.
All right. 2, 3.
Chad is
4,
asking if the apiary survived on the manor.
1.5.
Yeah, so far.
Yes, my.
And the gazebo.
I think I had.
I didn't realize gazebos were under threat.
I've had a bunch of stuff burned down. I had a fish pond that got destroyed. Half my village burned down.
Have you considered investing in a Roman-style bucket brigade? Because it really feels like that would be a solid.
Right.
So I just realized I was on mute. I've had a very bad year.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have.
After I had a crit on the misfortune and then a fail on the stewardship roll.
Yeah, it sounds like God is literally smiting you for your Roma, is what I'm hearing here.
So
lost 16 Libra this year.
Oh boy, that ain't small.
I think I have a regular harvest.
I have to do concern my commoners, which I fail.
Yeah, that's just nothing.
Where is the misfortune button?
Should be in the second column over.
Is it not updating the rolls?
Okay, there it is.
Does it from time to time?
No, I see it. Oh, you mean on the stream?
On the stream.
Crit my
no,
misfortune.
critical.
God, both of you. That's not good.
And then
Seems like you're not the only one whose chickens are roosting right now.
my wife fumbles her stewardship.
Oh boy.
So negligible is your result.
Oh no.
So you got to make a note with negligible. With negligible, you're plus 1d6 to your weather next year for just your estate alone. Because effectively, like you haven't planted crops, whatever. It's an ongoing effect. You can end up in a death spiral with particularly bad times. Where every year it just keeps making the next year worse.
So I get 10 over here. What goes in the care box?
You do a concern my commoners roll.
Yeah.
And if you pass, you put 5. If you crit, you put 10. Otherwise, you put 0.
Okay.
I failed. I was too busy smoozing the countess.
Flirting. Touching butts.
All right. I am going to attempt to build an improvement. I rolled a 10. That means it gets built, right?
Yeah, that's right. Unless you roll a 20, it gets built.
Okay. 97. This is gonna be. I'm gonna be building a. ditch and rampart and moat. So that's going to cost me 7. It will have maintenance of 1. It will have glory of 1. And plus 4 DV.
So, AP, I'm going to spend the money to invest Nerys as a knight. But this time, whereas previously when I've invested knights, I've always invested them in Owain's family name.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to invest Nerys as a knight under Gwgan. So that it just basically comes down to where I'm pulling the funds from. He's paying for himself, and so therefore she's his vassal.
But it's also important that when you become an independent knight, you will have your own vassalage waiting for you.
Yeah.
Sending you honor and glory and funds.
Yeah, it was Winterborn Stoke that Gwgan got, by the way.
Winterborn Stoke. That sounds like a familiar name I've heard before.
Did you get your final results, Boone, for the harvest?
Yeah, I think I got a regular harvest. Let me double check the flow chart.
I think it's because it's a tie where the misfortune won, so it would be a meager harvest.
You are correct.
But you can still, if you've had 5 meagers or better in a row, you can still test for
Yes,
growth.
population growth. Yep.
Yep.
Nope.
Just want to imagine in the background as all this disaster is happening to you. There's just a group of the jonglers playing that tavern cover of the Helldivers 2 Cup of Liberty. I don't know if you heard it, but it's incredible. It's just like one of them with like a hurdy-gurdy. Your building's burned down and God smites all of you. And
Hey, I'm doing pretty good, man.
listen, on everything but a personal level, I'm doing great.
Sure.
Sure, my wife found out that I betrayed her, but other than that, my life is good. All I have to do is stay on campaign 364 days of the year, and I'm good.
So I think the mineral stuff is done. So
Okay.
it's on to now like training and
What
glory.
level have you all chosen to live at this year? Like wealth-wise?
Yeah, I'm still doing superlative.
Okay. Then we need to roll for children and childbirth. Is anyone trying to have kids and or keeping any women?
No, both questions for me.
I will.
Oh, you're not trying to have kids with
8? Well, here's
countess?
the thing. I have 8 kids already.
Yeah,
It's
you think
6
that's enough? You think
for
just because you're
superlative,
rich,
right?
you can keep all these kids alive with good medical care and servants to look after them and nice clothes and good nutrition. You think your wealth will allow them to live in this horrifying world of 497?
I do.
Okay.
I do think that.
So you think you should bring more kids in? Look at you, this guy single-handedly fixing the American birth rate. 1.3 kids? Forget about that shit, Mr. 8. We're not even talking about any bastards he may have potentially sired by complete accident.
Exactly. Well, the will of the dice. Will of the dice.
Sorry, it's 6 for superlative.
12.
All right, then I'm gonna do. I'm only gonna do 6. I'm gonna do whatever. What's the one below superlative?
Well, it's not. It's 9 for rich and 6 for normal.
No.
Oh, we had a death in the family.
I'm gonna do rich.
And what's the bonus to childbirth if at superlative?
It's you're only on a 1 do they die. Oh no, sorry, to childbirth. Sorry,
Yeah.
it's different from the. I think AP's got a different chart to what I had.
It's because of I think it's different in either 5.2 or in the Great Pendragon campaign. They change it so that you can't automatically succeed on child survival by being superlative. Was the
He's
big
asking
difference.
about birth. He's asking about birth though.
Yes, but I'm saying that like we're using the version of the rules that doesn't let child survival just automatically happen. Which are you living at? Superlative. Child birth is, I believe, a +5.
Okay.
And rich
is a plus for childbirth +3.
no kids. And then how many kids do I have to roll for? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8.
You have death there, spoon, just like me.
Yeah. I am going to take a aging roll so that child does not die.
Okay. Show me the money.
Once again, I escape.
Unbelievable.
The
You think you can just
rigors of age.
praise your patron gods and goddesses of the land?
Is it an aging roll or an attribute loss roll you got to do?
I believe it was an aging roll.
Aging
Yes,
roll.
then you roll with the 2d6 to see how many attributes are affected.
No, it's the same one as
Okay, so it's attribute loss.
yes, attribute loss roll. Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry.
That was our home rule.
Yeah, that was the home,
You
the homebrew
prevail
rule.
upon the spirits of the land in your child's time of sickness, and they are healed at no cost to yourself. The spirits have seen that you're living a hard life these days. I want to make sure that you're okay. You okay, dude?
I'm doing good.
My family event is no event.
Wow.
I have a birth in the family.
My family event is a marriage in the family.
Who do I have that can still have kids?
Marriage in the family.
I guess Krieg is gonna have another.
Who's getting married?
I am doing the 1d6 plus 1 skill point. Let's see if I roll 1 for the 3rd year in a row. Yes, I do.
I can't remember. Is even or odd boys for kids?
Evans is I don't remember that. I think it's evens as boys, odds as girls.
Yeah, odds as girls. Yeah.
Okay, so add child. Law.
This is one of those things with our family trees that it's like you look at my characters' kids. I have 8 of them, and then I look at the rest of my family tree, and no one has any children. I'm sorry, I have 1.
Yeah, there need to be like some more tables for what else is happening with the rest of your family. Otherwise, waiting for you to roll a birth in the family on the family roll is like not enough to really show what the rest of the family would look like.
Right.
Yeah, but that's not
there was a
AP's
question,
fault.
James, about the death in your family.
Yes. Oh, sorry. My 4-year-old son Dram passed away.
Let's see. I think we will go with Sir Kerwin will get married.
This is definitely, he just created a new fantasy manga. My Banneret Lord commanded that I get married. Sir Kerwin goes on an epic adventure to find the greatest female knights across the land in order to marry them. Ends up getting a harem, but doesn't marry any of them until the final issue.
I'm gonna bring my love of family back to 16.
Well, well, well. You think you can just become famous for loving your family? I love the idea that you love your family so much, and the kids of your family are learning to hate you, to fear you, and to eventually supplant and erase your legacy. And you're like, guys, I just love you so much.
Let's see here.
Don't worry.
I'm gonna go.
Glimo, I'm sure you can turn the storyline around. You have a few years until they become old enough to learn how to use weapons.
Let's see.
You're starting Squires age 14, aren't you, Arthur?
I believe so.
Yeah, normally it's 15, but I think you've been doing it at 14.
I've just been doing whatever works, you know.
Yeah.
But I thought we were doing 15.
I
think
don't know that I made a house rule for it, so
we had some like
irregularities.
Character NPCs
Okay.
were taken early because they were related to PC knights.
Yeah. Don't blame me for that one. That sounds like choices you guys made. You can have squires of 15 if you want them. You know what? Some of you are glorious. You can pick what age you want your squire to start at. You can just be like, hey, I want a squire. I'm pretty glorious guy.
I think I'm gonna double check here, but I think Kendric characters can have Constitution up to 21.
That sounds right.
Sounds right, yeah.
It's 18 plus 3, yeah.
Yes. Okay, so I'm gonna up my Constitution by 1. And then AP, would it be possible to take a second squire?
You're a Night Lord, so yes.
Okay.
You can have a second squire.
I will take a second squire.
Do you have anyone in mind to be your squire?
Does anyone have anyone of squiring age? Sir Kyned, Sir Gwgan? I've had really good luck with Sir Gwgan's family.
Elfin will be 13 next year. That's probably still a little young.
Let me just check. Does one already take Kristen? Kristen, I think, it's 15 this year. We'll turn 16 next year. So
Okay. I will
that's a
take
girl. Cyrystin.
Kristen, go.
Cyrystin.
I'm gonna add notes.
Kristen uses Capture Saxon. It's effective.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm losing it here, guys. I'm imagining Pokemon.
So now I now have, I think all three of my last squires have come from Sir Gwgan's family. I have, because you have Hayden, have Terwin currently, and then Kristen picking up a second squire this year.
We got to see how these knights turn out, how the Kendric vintage, for the training you're providing them, of course.
For sure.
My new squire is named Podrick.
Podrick. See.
Yep.
We mark that down.
It's spelled Padraig.
Oh man,
You weird Gaelic names.
Felix would say the same thing of your English names. So your current squires right now, Kendric, are Terran and Kristen?
Kristen, correct. Terwin is 17 now, and Kristen is 15.
My new glory is
Applebee's.
7153. So I'm restoring my honor to famous honor again.
Ooh, famous for his honor.
Is there any glory that we gain that we've not already talked about?
So there's the glory that you gain throughout the year. Spoon gets a bunch of extra glory here real quick for several reasons. So you get 25 glory annually going forward because you are recognized as the heir of Lucius II.
Nice.
You gain 100 glory immediately for being named a Lord Knight. And then you gain... you get to double dip on glory. For however much your primary estate makes, you get that much glory. Again.
Oh, okay. Nice.
So you get to double dip on that. And then technically, the 5.2 rules say that you automatically maintain a rich lifestyle at no cost to yourself because you're a Banneret Knight, and that's just how it works.
Good. Cool.
So that'll be true going forward. That 100 glory is just this year, but the estate glory is permanent. I don't believe I have any other glories to give you I had not handed out during this year's adventures. And for your puzzle solvings and all that, you should have gotten that glory at that time.
We got a lot of glory this year. I had 560
it
down.
was a great year. And so according to my notes here, we've covered computation of glory, glory bonuses. So sorry, what is everyone's capped out glory? Like, what's everyone currently at?
7153.
Wow. Okay, well, I think that you might be pretty up there. Spoon, you're muted.
I just hit 7,043.
And Glimo?
2572.
I know. It can be rough compared to these two, but don't worry. They'll die eventually. And then you'll pass their heirs.
Yeah, but I'm going to die first because I'm the oldest.
That's hardly how this game has worked so far. I like how you think either of these, how you think Spoon, the combat maniac, is going to live to a ripe old age. This dude literally dueled a duke. He's 100% going to die in the saddle.
For sure.
Fucking smote by a barbarian, for sure.
Well, you need at least 8,000 glory to qualify for the round table when the time comes.
This fucking guy and his
If I
round
make
table
it there.
ambitions. with the way your rolls are going, you'll easily hit the 8,000 and you'll die the year the round table is made.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I said three years in a row now. I've done a
They give
D6
you an
plus one, roll
honorary
one.
seat at the table. It's called the Siege Perilous.
Nice.
Yeah.
Any post-episode talk, chat here, anything, Glimo, you want to do to shout out your... Oh my god, his wife is gonna love him bringing home a female squire. It's his second female squire too. She's like, let's deal with Yennefer so you don't feel like stepping out. And then she looks at your 15 and 17-year-old squires. This is real Nickelodeon situation is all I'm saying. So I get it, Spoon. You didn't choose this life. It's being painted on you.
Yeah. The dice have spoken.
Look, we're a real progressive night band here.
So why have you got two squires?
Yeah, sure.
Because I just took a second squire.
And he's a Night Lord,
Okay.
so I think he can qualify for something like that.
Yeah.
I believe both of you have passed Sir Will in terms of glory. Because while he gets tons and tons of glory from conspicuous consumption and all of these manners, he doesn't ever battle anybody or do anything of note. So you are both more glorious than he. And I'd have to check my notes, but there's a fair chance you're both more glorious than Ellen, actually. Incredible player characters becoming #1.
I mean, like if she was off doing quests and that sort of stuff, she'd probably get a lot more glory too.
You mean instead of the true business of running an entire county? Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly.
Well, and she like
Raising kids.
technically
Yeah.
would get all of the income glory from the entire county.
Yeah, the holdings. Yeah.
Yeah.
All that money that's continuously being reinvested.
Yeah, but she still gets it doesn't matter that she's
Well,
spending
you know
it. She
what?
still
I'm
gets
not
the
going to
total
track her
amount.
glory. It's not necessary. No one's remarrying her at this point, so.
No, my wife could die.
Oh my god. Listen, James has really been dark triading this episode. I'm really worried that she may be encouraged to end herself.
At least if it happens off camera.
No, it's the first time we get a full view of her on camera is you embracing her like a true Christian.
No, it's just we start with the scene. It's a funeral, but the camera's always behind the picture of the person in front of the the coffin.
This disrespect. Okay. Are we good for next week?
At this point, yes. I've got to facilitate hiring a truck to go pick up a piece of furniture next week, and if the only time I can do it is during this game, then that's the way it's going to be. Unfortunately, when it comes to when I can get a truck and when I can get people, but I'll let you know during the week.
Very well.
It should be good.
Same.
Was there something about Imperium Maledictum tomorrow, James?
I don't know. I think we're okay. It's the king's birthday here tomorrow, so it's a public holiday. I don't have to go to work. Not actually the king's birthday, but that's what we
Sure,
call
that's
the
what you
holiday.
say. It's just like President's Day. No president is actually born on President's Day, but
Yeah.
you got to celebrate where you can. Listen, I'm not real big on monarchical rulers, but I did like it better when you had a queen. That's all I have to say.
Yeah. Oh, hey, they've just started releasing the first coins with King Charles's face on them rather than Queen Elizabeth's. Yeah, I haven't gotten it yet. They haven't come into my hands, but
When you get one, will you feel the power of Rule Britannia coursing through your blood and feel a need to sing?
I'll be thinking, why am I carrying cash in these days?
Oh, in this economy. Why am I paying to mint these coins in this economy? My mom went on a rant today about digital currency, and I was like, okay, Joe Biden there is a digital currency, but Joe Biden is not going to replace all of our paper money with digital currency in his next term.
I was surprised my local shopping mall has an ATM where you can buy cryptocurrencies at the ATM.
Hate that so much.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Painful irony of banks investing them in decentralized currency, completely defeating the point. Wow. Somewhere out there, libertarians have died for this honor. All right, before I get myself canceled too much more here, we should probably wrap up. It was another spreadsheety episode, audience at home, but apparently this is the stuff you like. I hope that Dice told the story that you want, and join us next episode for the beginning of the year 498, where nothing bad ever happens and only good things happen to our crew of handsome, faithful young men.
Don't forget to water your glory.
Water your glory?
Because glory can't be planted.
Oh, because glory can't be planted. I see.
It's a callback.
That is
It's
a callback. One that I completely missed.